Hi everyone.
G'day.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, happy Easter.
Yeah, welcome to Parkside Live. We're going to talk about becoming alive with God.
Yes, and I was talking with a friend of mine actually this morning. We got up early very early in the morning to catch the sunrise. It was a little bit clouded out. The clouds and the rain rolled in over the coast, and all we saw was a faint pink ball through the clouds. As we were down there, he was sharing part of his life, and when he was a kid, he was over his auntie's house, and he was about 6 years old. Everyone was inside, which probably doesn't happen too much these days, but back then, all good. And he fell into the swimming pool, and he can remember going to the bottom and looking up, but doesn't remember much apart from that. And then one of his aunties saw what she thought was a tea towel floating in the pool, which happened to be his shirt. And so they went out and they grabbed him and took him to the hospital, and he actually had to be resuscitated twice. Now the good news is he's here with us. He was sitting around this table this morning. But when he was on the bottom of the pool, doctors will tell us that there's a mechanism that kicks in for young children where everything shuts down. You're still conscious, but you're not breathing, so you're not swallowing in any water, and you can survive for a number of seconds. But I want to ask you, as he's on the pool when his body is going into this shutdown, is he dead?
No.
No, he's not. If he stays in that place, will he be alive?
No.
No. And it's just a very clear example of a situation that we can find ourselves in where we are alive, but if we stay there, it will quite literally destroy us. And as we're going through our lives, there I think are times when we go into survival mode, where we realise this is not the best way, but it is a way forward. And sometimes those things are necessary. You may be working a job that doesn't particularly recognise your skill set, but you say, I need to do this right now. You may be tolerating a work environment that you think, this is not where I choose to be, but you're doing it right now. We're not trying to judge against that, but recognise that we can find ourselves in situations that if we stay there, they'll actually destroy us. And on this Easter Sunday, we want to talk about what it means to actually become alive and to move beyond those survival states into something different. And we're going to draw some inspiration, as we so often do, from the scriptures. And I'm just going to read something quickly from the Gospel of John. And we're reading from chapter 20. And this story actually takes place on Easter Sunday. And what has happened is that there are a group of women who've gone to the garden tomb of Jesus, and they're going to prepare his body as their custom requires. So they're carrying spices and perfumes, and they're doing the job of an embalmer and a mortician. In the days before, there were morticians. And when they arrive at the tomb, something has happened. And so we're going to pick this up. John chapter 20 and verse 11. It just says this. Mary, and I guess we really need to stop there, because the colour of our skin, we change people's names. When I was working with a guy doing concreting on a driveway that I was doing, I said, hey mate, what's your name? And he goes, Huss. And I'm like, no, what's your proper name? And he looks at me, he gives me this weird look, and he goes, Hussein. I'm like, yeah, sweet mate, no worries, Hussein. And what I think we can often be speaking with someone who speaks 3 or 4 languages, and we go, oh, sorry, I can't do that, And similarly with this lady's name, her name's not Mary, it's actually Mariam, Jewish name, and that can mean either bitter or beloved, right, this lady. And so I'm going to say Miriam. Miriam was standing outside the tomb crying. This is Jesus' tomb. And as she wept, she stopped and looked in. She saw two white-robed angels, and one sitting at the head and one sitting at the foot of the place where the body of Jesus had been lying. So it's not there anymore. The woman, why are you crying? The angels asked her. Because they have taken away my Lord, she replied, and I don't know where they have put him. And so we can find ourselves again in hard places. What do we know about this woman, Miriam? What do you know? Teach us.
Well, from reading that, we're not getting a lot of her background, but when we read through the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John in the Bible, when we hear about her, we find that there's not actually a lot, but what we do know about her is that she hung out with Jesus, she helped support him, and she was also healed by him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was healed. Now, in Luke 8, we read that she was actually one lady who had 7 demons taken out of her. We don't actually know what that means. They talk about spirits, but then also this is a culture and a language where spirits were also used to describe moods that came across people. In the past, she's actually been described as a sexually promiscuous person. She's been described as the embodiment of all evil.
Yes, not in the scriptures though, but...
No, by other people's speculation.
Yeah.
But what we do know is that Miriam had been healed in some way. She had had an encounter with Jesus and had been healed. I think it's helpful though to recognise all sorts of stories have been told about it.
Yeah.
And as we go through our lives, we can find ourselves in situations where all sorts of stories are being told about us. That I'm such and such, that you are such and such, that you do such and such. We can find that. And sometimes there are moments where we may just have to manage those stories.
Yeah.
We can't stop people telling them, we just have to find a way through. And it's not a great place to stay, but we have to get through it. But if we give those stories too much, they will destroy us. Yeah. They will destroy who we are and the impact that we can have on this world. And when we look at Miriam, she's a singular woman. As we read, there are several Miriams in this story. The mother of Jesus, the mother of 2 brothers. There was Miriam from a town called Bethany. And they are all mentioned by association. The mother of Jesus, the brother of Lazarus, the wife of Cleopas was another one. And that was because in the time of this, women didn't have credibility nor a voice. They were mentioned by their connection to men because in that time, that was what your value was attained from, the person that you were connected with. Now, this is not telling us this is the way that we should live our lives at all. And yet, perhaps you can relate to a moment in your life when you have only been defined by your connection to someone else. I know, even for me, there was a period in my life where we played football, played rugby, I played with a few teams, and because I was part of that team, people gave you a seat. Yeah. People offered you freebies because I was part of that team. Whereas if I just walked up on my own, I wouldn't have got anything. And we can allow, as we move through our lives, our associations to define us. But what we see in the life of Miriam is a woman who found her own way. And not just her own way, but Miriam was a woman who actually supported Jesus in what he was doing. And so she found not only her own way, but she actually helped others to find their way through that. That she funded their work. And then we find this tragedy. We've got a woman whose life was changed by an encounter so much that she redirected her resources, she redirected her time and said, I'm going to dedicate my resources and time to you and to the work that I see you doing among my people. I wonder if you've ever encountered someone like that, someone who's impacted you significantly in a way that you would redirect your time, redirect your energy. I don't know, have you ever had an encounter like that?
I think, apart from Jesus, myself, but I think when I heard about the work that some people were doing with people who had been trafficked, like human trafficking, just being inspired by what they were doing to try and help people either prosecute those who had perpetrated these horrible things on people, or saving people from trafficking. And I'm going, oh, I'm going to turn my money. I did some, a course to go. Now I know how to talk about it and see things and share that with other people and that kind of thing. Just going, I'll spend some time and energy here, and because I was inspired by them.
And I think that's valuable. And for most of us, that's where it stops. We are inspired by the stories of others. As you're watching this, I wonder who's been inspirational in your life. But when we look at Mary, or Miriam, we find not only was she inspired, but she had been personally transformed by this meeting with Jesus. And we meet her in this story where that is now gone. Where the one who changed her life is now gone. I don't know if you've ever lost someone who's close to you. Perhaps someone who was a positive influence in your life. I lost my mum, and I remember when she went, my way of coping with that, I just get head down, soldiered on, and then 2 years later, I found myself watching some kids movie and some cartoon character died, and tears just started to flow, because it was that point that I gave myself freedom to recognise this loss. And if you're someone who's lost someone who matters to you, I wonder how you process it. I wonder how it impacted you. Do you feel you could have a story to share?
Oh, yeah, same when my mum died. But I kind of cried from the moment that I heard and couldn't stop. Like, it would just come over me, the grief would wash over me. I mean, probably still, even years down the track, it still can catch you unawares, but there's that grief that comes out that is just this. It's hard to even describe, like the feelings. It's a whole body kind of experience.
And this story is not a story of insulation against pain. There are moments of celebration here, of celebration of life change, of healing where there was pain and sickness, of light flooding in where there was darkness. And yet here we also find grief and loss. And it's in the middle that she says, the one who changed my life has been taken, and I don't know where to find him. And as we move through our lives, as perhaps even as you're watching this, you have found yourself in a situation where everything that you thought was leading you to a better life has gone, and you don't know where to find the next step. You don't know what to do. You feel genuinely at a loss. And yet, as we explore this story, that's exactly where this lady finds herself. And in this moment, I'm going to read a little bit more here, because it says here, she turned to leave and saw someone standing there. It was Jesus, but she did not recognize him. "Dear woman," he said, "why are you crying? Who are you looking for?" She thought that he was the gardener. Isn't that so true? That we can be so distraught that we don't recognize those around us. If you've ever been woken up in the middle of the night I remember being woken up once in the middle of the night while I was working. I had no idea who was in front of me. I had no idea where I was. I was completely disoriented, and I had to take a message about 200 metres down the road, and I remember just staggering and weaving, because when you're in the middle of something, you just don't know what's going on. And if you've gone through a moment in your life where you're in the middle of pain, where you are asking yourself the question, who am I now? What's my life going to look like? That often we can miss moments, we can miss opportunities. And in the midst of this chaos and confusion, what we see is that Jesus will speak. And here he simply says, Miriam. And she turns to him and she cries out, Teacher. I think that's a beautiful moment. That in the middle of the tears and the questions and the uncertainty, that there is a voice that speaks to who we are. Mm-hmm. There is a voice that speaks peace. Not peace of circumstance, but peace of person. Bringing us peace even in the middle of chaos. I wonder, in your life, have you ever had a voice that spoke to who you were, that spoke peace over your life? We can live in a world where we turn to screens and the images that we see on screens, and yet the message that they will often bring is be someone different. Yeah. When we look at how we spend our time on screens, often when we are seeking some kind of a connection with someone via a screen, after the interaction, studies have shown that people feel less connected. Perhaps even as you're watching this, this leaves you wanting a real in-person connection. We would love for you to join us around this table. But right now, you're watching this and thinking, there's got to be something more than this. And yet, in the middle of uncertainty, in the middle of chaos, there is a voice that says, I know you, I know who you are, and I am here. I wonder when the last time that you recognised that voice in your life was. Because the challenge that then happens is that this woman who is asking, who am I and what does my life look like? Jesus says these words, don't cling on to me, take this good news to others. And there is this beautiful moment where faith is not just about sitting in a perfect garden and enjoying a wonderful moment. Faith includes those moments. But faith is also about going beyond that comfortable, beautiful moment and into the world and saying, there is someone who knows you. There is someone who is calling you by name. Come and join me. Come and experience what I have experienced. Have you heard that voice? Have you recognized that call that is on your life? Today, we celebrate what it means to come alive. And the invitation is not to simply survive. Don't just survive the stories that are being told about you. Don't endure life because you're associated with someone. Don't allow the conditions of your life to dictate who you are in this world. Because a pathway of faith says Jesus has a better story for you. That even though you might consider yourself incredible in the eyes of the world, not believable, not influential, Jesus says, come with me. I have news for you to share. And in this world of constant messaging, as you're watching this, perhaps you're at a point where you say, I want to recognize that voice, the voice of the Creator speaking to me. I want to carry this good news that life can begin again and we can all become alive to the Creator of the universe right where we are right now. That's the invitation that we offer tonight. And as you're watching this, if you're ready to open up your life to the voice of Jesus, to give your life to sharing the good news of Jesus to others, then just join us in a simple prayer that says, Jesus, I give you my life. Give me your life. We invite you to pray that now. Jesus, I give you my life. Give me your life. Jesus, I give you my life. Give me your life. And if you took that step of faith as you're watching this, we'd love to hear from you so that we can support you in the next step on your journey. If you're watching this on YouTube, please drop us a comment. If you're watching this on the socials, send us a message. Or if you're coming through Southwest Sydney, we'd love you to join us and other friends around this table. Thanks for tuning in. God bless.
Bye.